Hello everyone and welcome. Today we are going to talk about the update that Blackmagic released yesterday, maybe a couple of days ago, depending on when you are going to watch this video. Because this is like a double update. They updated the DaVinci Resolve, releasing DaVinci Resolve 18 Beta 5, and they updated the firmware. Is it called firmware? Yes, it is a firmware of Blackmagic Pocket 4K, 6K and 6K Pro. And this is an important update because turns out that these cameras have got a gyroscope inside, and this gyroscope is capable of recording the data, the metadata inside of the camera. And here is the trick. 5 years after development of the Pocket 4K, or I don't know, but it is, I guess it is 5 years old, they discovered the way how they can use this gyroscope data in order to use it for stabilization. And today we're gonna have a look at how it works, whether it works at all, and if it is better than the method that we were using before. First of all, in order to use that, we need to update the camera, the firmware camera, to the latest one. If I'm not mistaken, it is 7.9 or something like that. It updates the interface of the camera. It makes it a little bit more prettier interface. Yeah, and also it updates the autofocus. It is not a following autofocus like in Canon or Sony, but it is much better than it used to be. Now if you press the autofocus button, it's going to snap to the object rather than just going back and forth trying to find it. So it is an upgrade. And you need to upgrade this firmware in order for this gyroscope to include the metadata into your file, and you need to update the DaVinci Resolve itself, but be aware that you need to back everything up before you do that, because it is an update and it is a beta. So bear that in mind. I've recorded some footage in here. Unfortunately, this is not the footage that it is desirable for such an experiment, because the footage that would be ideal is like following a moving person, but it is a handheld footage with a little bit of hand jitter, and we'll try to stabilize it using the gyroscope data. So I'm going to select this footage, go to stabilization and select camera gyro and click stabilize. It's going to do its job. Zoom in a bit. And as you can see, it becomes pretty smooth. It becomes really, really smooth. You still can tell, of course, that it is handheld, but it is a much more pleasant. You probably, if you watch my channel, you probably know how I hate handheld footage because of this micro jitter. And this method gets rid of this micro jitter that I really hate. But there is a drawback to this method. You cannot really apply this to the older footage because the metadata, as I presume, was not included inside of this file. And for example, I have a file in here that I recorded with this very camera, but some time ago, before the update. And as you can see, as a method of stabilization, I do not have gyro. It means that this was recorded with the older firmware, and the metadata of the gyro was not included in this file. That's why we are not able to use that. And this is kind of sad, but now we can do that. And let's try to use the other methods. And yeah, this portion of the video clip, and we're going to use something different. This is not a particularly jittery file. That's why it's not really a good example of what this software right now is capable of, but it is still something. So this is with gyro, and this is with translation. It is difficult to see the difference and to see what's really happening in here, but again, first of all, this is an additional method that is probably going to work better than the previous ones. And second of all, this gives you an opportunity to walk behind the subject without a gimbal. Because, of course, if you really want a smooth shot, you're still gonna use gimbal. But personally, I really hate them. I hate those gimbals, especially when working with Blackmagic cameras. And this method really opens up numerous possibilities for you to follow your subject without a stabilizer, and using it handheld and making it smooth afterwards using camera gyro. So I think this is a huge update, But beware, you need to back everything up. You need to update your camera firmware and update your DaVinci Resolve beta to beta 5. Yeah, and only then to a new footage that you're going to record, not to the previous ones, it is going to work. Ideally, I would like to shoot a moving subject and follow it, but I'm going to leave it for the future projects. This is the update. This is a really big one. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.